Hi, I'm Alex Botha. I'm part of the Northern Consulting team. I'm a senior consultant in the Auckland office, and I'm going to take you through the third step in the process today, which is matching your employee data to the market data. So as part of this process, we need to import your payroll data into our spreadsheet, and we do so on our Employee Details tab. So in that spreadsheet, we will include all elements of their pay. So that would include their base salary, any benefits that they receive, such as KiwiSaver, cars, health insurance, allowances, anything they're guaranteed to receive, as well as any bonus or variable pay. So all of that data then goes into our spreadsheet, and we're able to compare your data against the market data. So once we've loaded all of your payroll data into our system, we're then able to look at how all of your employees compare against the market, so that when we scroll across, and you can see in column CL, your position in range, or PIR, sometimes referred to as a comp ratio as well. Effectively what you're looking at is, how does this employee's pay package compare to the median for the market for this role? So when we look at your position in range, you'll see in column CL at the top, you'll see some employees who have paid quite low against the range in the kind of 75 to 80% category. Most companies will attribute a kind of performance range around pay levels. So they look to have a range of around about 80 to 120, sometimes a little bit narrower, but 80% to 120% of the median is a good starting point to aim to have all of your employees within that range. So often employees will sit towards the low end of the range for very valid reasons. They might be new to the job, still developing, underperforming, or have moved across from a different role where they don't quite have the full skill set for this position. And similarly, you'll have roles at the other end of the scale who sit towards the top end or even above the range for very valid reasons. It might be that they're a high performer, they've been with the company for a very long time, or they add considerable value and you identify them as an exceptional performer. All valid reasons that people sit towards the top or the bottom of the range. But what you tend to focus your attention on in the first instance is those individuals who sit below the range for none of the reasons that have been described. In other words, they seem to be legitimately behind the market. So you start to be a bit more strategic about directing what salary budget you have to first and foremost look at those people who are behind the market and could do with a bump up towards into the range for that role. And similarly, you start to identify your exceptional performers where you may want to give them a one-off pay increase or move them higher towards the top end of the range to reflect the contribution that they make and your ongoing need to retain those people. Okay, so now I'm going to take you through a specific example of what I'm talking about, and this is particularly relevant for those organisations where in 2020 they're under considerable financial pressure or their budgets are particularly constrained. So we're going to look at the marketing assistant role, which is at the top row of your spreadsheet. So we're going to look specifically at that position, and you can see that the current PIR or positioning range for that role is 77%. So in other words, just a reminder, that means that person's pay is sitting at 77% of the median for that role. And what you're able to do if you look at the columns EJ to EQ is that you can start to allocate your budget and see what impact it would have on that individual's PAR. So if you gave them a default 1% increase, for example, you'd be able to see what that would move their position in range to, versus if you decided to allocate more of your budget to those people who are below the range and less of your budget to those people who are already paid well within or at the top end of the range. So you can see if we give a 5% increase to that marketing assistant role, the PIR moves from 77% against the median to 81%, putting them just within the range for that role between 80 and 120%. So this is a really cost-effective and easy to use tool for lots of different areas in the business, particularly for your management teams and your finance teams to be able to see how you've allocated what budget you have and what that looks like in terms of its influence on those position in ranges. So once you've had your spreadsheet set up and it's ready to go, all you need to do is make sure that you keep your employee data current. So when it comes time to do your salary review, we can simply update the market data for you and run the majority of calculations for you, which means that your own annual salary review process becomes much quicker and easier and more efficient. So if you had any questions about this section of our video series, you're most welcome to contact me. I'm happy to help in any way that I can.